This is Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash. Our weekly chat with the Gibson Southern Titan head football coach is brought to you by these underwriting sponsors: A&B Contracting, A&T Concrete Supply, AgriGold, Best One Tire, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Carts Gone Wild, Consolidated Grain and Barge, Cox Family Eye Care, Deaconess Women's Hospital, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Freudenberg Mini Mart, Hobstadt Summerfest Incorporated, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Jackson Seed Service, JL Farm Equipment, Kiesel Enterprises, Kissel Farms, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Lowry Company, Marshall Disposal, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Mytech Systems, Pole Concrete Construction, Princeton Auto Park, Reinbrecht Homes, Rusty Reeves FC Tucker MG Realtors, Sandy's Pizza, Shoe Carnival, South Gibson Grain, T. Konya Distributing, 10 Barge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, Total Seed Solutions, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile, and by Ziliak Enterprises. Titans football with head coach Nick Hart starts now on 89.1 The Bash.
Welcome back to Titans football with head coach Nick Hart. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach Nick Hart. And coach, your Titans are now 5-0 overall and 3-0 in Pocket Athletic Conference play after defeating county rival, the Princeton Tigers, on Friday night. So let's take a look at the scoring plays and some of the team and individual stats from the ball game. In the first quarter, Isaac Sellers completed a pass to Wes Obermeyer for 9 yards. The point after kick by Chandler McKee is good. 7-0, the Titans on top. But Princeton comes right back. Malik Hardiman completed a pass to Kane Madison for 36 yards. Point after kick by Jaden Scott is no good. Titans lead 7-6. In the second quarter, Isaac Sellers completed a pass to Nick Maurer for 10 yards. The 2-point conversion by Dylan Stefanich is good. 15-6, Titans on top. And that's what our score was at halftime, with an extended 2-hour halftime where definitely Jason and I got a lot of time to think. I know you and the ball club got some time to think. But a couple hours later, we got started. Third quarter, Isaac Sellers comes out, not missing a beat here, runs it in from 1 yard out. The point after kick by Chandler McKee is good. 22-6, Titans on top. Later in the third quarter, Isaac Sellers completed a pass to Wes Obermeyer for 99 yards. Unbelievable play right there. The point after kick by Chandler McKee is good. 29-6, Titans on top. And then in the fourth quarter, Dylan Stefanich ran it in from 3 yards out. Chandler McKee kick is good, and that brings us to the final score, 36-6. The Titans defeat the Princeton Tigers. And again, kind of a different ball game for the ball club. And I know in our next segment we always talk about the offense, defense, and special teams, but again, just a kind of a different feel for Gibson Southern Titans football and what we're used to.
Well, yeah, one, you had the weather delay at halftime, which doesn't happen very often. But, Princeton's a good ball club, and they came out and they played very well, I thought, a lot better than they did against Mount Carmel. And, we challenged them during that break at the half. I thought we came out and played well or the first couple drives. But when Princeton kind of answered back, and responded and threw a punch themselves, I thought we blinked a little bit, especially defensively. We got a little unsure of what we were doing and didn't trust the other guys on the field, and kind of challenged them at the half. And I thought that our team came out and responded really well in the second half, which is what I was really, really hoping to see. Through that 2-hour break, I was really hoping we'd come out and respond well, and they did.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the team stats from this ball game. Total offense, numbers very familiar for the Titans, 464 yards. For Princeton, they had 258 yards. Passing, 337 yards for the Titans, 92 yards for Princeton. Rushing for the Titans, 127 yards, 166 for the Tigers. Then you look at the penalty yardage. Fairly balanced here. Gibson Southern had 7 penalties for 60 yards, while Princeton had 9 penalties for 70 yards. And then each ball club had 1 turnover each. Of course, the Titans had the interception, and Princeton had the fumble. So looking through here, the one thing that really stands out, the lack of rushing yards. Mm-hmm. It came very tough on Friday night. Had to fight for every yard that you did get on the ground.
It did, and I was probably a little too stubborn with the run, to be honest with you, because just the way they were playing us, that's why we were able to throw for 337 yards, and we were able to take advantage that way. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, and I know we'll talk about Heritage Hills down the line, but this is what they're going to try and do to us this week as well, is Princeton just kind of took the air out of the football with their way they were moving the ball and run down the play clock and stuff, and really limited the number of possessions that took place, especially in the first half. And so even though our defense only gave up 6 points, there's a lot of long drives, and we got to find a way to be able to get off the field and capitalize. There's a couple fumbles early that we had a chance to get on. If we get on, we were able to get off the field. And and then I thought our coaches did a good job at halftime. We didn't make any adjustments. We were doing some stuff wrong defensively that we had practiced all week that we weren't doing correctly, and we were able to pinpoint it and get it fixed. And I thought our defense played a lot better in the second half.
Well, and you're sitting there and you're talking about the Princeton Tigers and how they really took the air out of the football, so to speak. I mean, it was almost like Princeton Tigers of college basketball lore with the four-corner stall and so forth. But they only have 40 seconds, but still yet, 3 plays, that's a minute 20 every time. And then you're looking at fourth down, there could be upwards of 2 minutes that could be taken off the clock if you just get them to go 3 and out and punt. But there's the key. Right. You weren't able to get them to 3 and out and punt, so that allowed Princeton to have that extra, hey, okay, let's continue doing this kind of mode.
And their offense is difficult to stop. There's a lot of misdirection. They have a lot of playmakers. If you give them a little bit of space, they're going to make a play. And they did a good job shifting around and kind of doing some stuff to us early. And I just think we responded well, but we can't put ourselves in those type of positions because it's going to come back to bite us at some point. So hats off to Princeton. I thought Coach Shank had a great game plan offensively. I thought their kids executed it very, very well. And then, I thought we hopped up off the mat defensively and were able to make some plays in the second half.
Well, and one big stat here that I'm looking at team-wise, 2 for 10 on third downs. I mean, a couple weeks ago we looked at the same scenario where it was like 3 for 14 or 3 for 15, somewhere in there. In between, sandwiched, when we were up at Lucas Oil, a lot of success on third down. Mm-hmm. Here again, struggled on third down, 2 for 10.
Yeah, and we got ourselves in some bad spots again. Like we did in the North Posey game when we talked about it. We had a couple holding penalties that got us behind the sticks and got us in 3rd and long, and just some plays like that got us in some bad situations. And two, when we went back and broke down film, there's a couple of them where we were in 4th down. We were in 4 down territory, so we're just trying to get half and not convert on 3rd down and stuff. So, but yeah, we the holding penalties and stuff get us behind the sticks and make some of those 3rd down conversions tough. And if we could have sustained some drives, we're not going to take the air out of the ball. But, it would have given our defense a little bit more time off the field and able to come back out a little bit fresher.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the individual stats from the ball game against Princeton. Isaac Sellers was 17 for 25, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. So he's had his first interception of the season, got that out of the way. We don't have to worry about that anymore as far as what kind of streak that we're going to have here. But again, 17 for 25, you're looking there at 68% completion, outstanding, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not only is that, though, a great job by Isaac, but it's a great job by the receivers that we'll get to here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know he's made great decisions all year, and the pick going back across his body was a really bad one, and he'd like to have that one back. But I thought he played phenomenal along with our receivers on Friday night, distributing the ball. Like I said, they kind of loaded up the box against us a little bit more than what we thought we were going to get, and it allowed us to play some pitch and catch.
All right, so let's take a look at the rushing stats here. Dylan Stefanich had 20 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. Isaac Sellers had 13 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown. Chandler McKee with 1 carry for 0 yards. So, boy, it just seemed like the B button, Chandler McKee, it seemed like he had the ball a few more times than that.
Yeah, we got it to him on some like bubbles and those type of things.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and he did a great job out in space on those. But, again, we might have been a little too stubborn with the run, and I thought we did a good job of it was just tough sledding there running the football, and, we didn't pop any. And I think that's, where those statistics are a little – down from what they usually are. We didn't have that big, 40 or 50-yard run to, kind of, pad our yards per carry, if you will. But, they did a great job of playing the run. And then, I thought Isaac and our receivers did a great job of taking care of that. We hit some nice play-action passes. We were able to kind of, an extension of the running game with some of those bubble screens and stuff like that to Chandler as, they were kind of loading in the box. Again, I thought our efficiency offensively, was at a very high level.
Well, and that's the thing, too. When you're looking at it, 4 yards a carry is what you averaged here. Mm-hmm. That's still pretty good. I mean, while it's not exactly what we're kind of expected to see from the first 4 games this year, still yet, that's a nice change of pace to be able to come to when you need it. And you were able to do that. You were able to come and get the run when you needed it. But let's take a look at the receiving stats now. Wes Obermeyer led the way with 6 receptions, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Big night for Wes Obermeyer. Of course, the 99-yarder, that helps anybody's stats right off the bat.
It does, and that was a big play for us. That was kind of the backbreaker, and but Wes was phenomenal all night. Made some tough catches, and then he was able to, obviously the 99-yarder, but even before that, if you take that away, he's still over 100 yards on the night. He did a nice job. One sticks out in my mind. He caught a curl and broke a tackle, and was able to pick up probably 20 more yards after it. So just a tremendous night for Wes.
Well, and Chandler McKee had 5 receptions for 79 yards. Nick Maurer had 2 receptions for 23 yards. Dylan Stefanich had 3 receptions for 20 yards. And Dawson Witt, while he only had the 1 catch, it was a very important catch over there on the far side of the field. As you were headed right to left on the radio dial, I remember him catching the ball, and if I remember right, he picked up the first down with some extra effort and had a nice job there of picking up 10 yards. So, again, 5 different guys receiving the football, still very good.
It is, and, what I really like about this team and what we're able to do is, one night Dawson's been the leading receiver, and, Nick Maurer's had a big night, and Chandler, is, steady Eddie in there for us, but and then this was Wes's night, and we just whatever matchup we're getting that we like, or sometimes it just happens to be luck of the draw of which what hash you're on and everything like that. All 4 guys are capable of having big nights, and when you're running the spread, that's essential. They can't really dial in on one guy because if they do, the other guys are going to be there to hurt you.
Well, and I'm going to backtrack on you here a little bit. You can't be using Steady Eddie as a nickname for Chandler McKee. I mean, we've got him nicknamed as the B button, and that's on the Sega Genesis or whatever one of those game system is. You hit the B button, he spins, because he's got that down beautifully. So, Mr. B button.
Okay, gotcha.
Let's go to the defensive side of the football. Obviously, the stats a little bigger here this week. Trace Matzel leading the way with 15 tackles, and he was a man possessed out there on the field. 10 solo, 5 assists, 1 tackle for loss. Caleb Carpenter had 12 tackles, 8 solo, 4 assists, 2 tackles for loss. Cooper Willis, 10 tackles. He had 4 solo, 6 assists, and 1 tackle for loss. Caleb Stiesel had 8 tackles, 4 solo, and 4 assists. And Tyler Gady had 8 tackles, 3 solo, 5 assists, along with Luke Miller, also had 8 tackles, 3 solo, and 5 assists. And Caleb Stiesel, the big man, had another one where I thought he was just going to open up and swallow and say thank you. Mm-hmm. I mean, right up the middle, just enveloped the offensive ball carrier, and it's like, whoa, where'd the kid go?
Yeah, the good news, bad news for our defense is the good news is they put up some nice tackle statistics. The bad news is because the Princeton ran like 60-something plays, I think, and so that's always going to. So somebody's got to tackle them whenever they're running so many plays. But again, we already hit on it, but I was proud of the way that our defense came out in the second half and played. They got 1 drive going on us in the second half, and we ended up making a goal line stand. And again, the ultimate goal of defense is not to let the offense score. And and we held a pretty good offense to 6 points. But we would like to get off the field earlier and not allow teams to go. And when you play good offensive teams like Princeton, they're gonna make plays. They're gonna have drives, but it just can't be every in the first half it was every single drive. At some point, we think our defense is pretty good. We got to come up with a 3 and out or allow 1 first down and get off the field. That's what we weren't able to do early on.
Well, and that's the thing too with Princeton. They have the athletes on the side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball, that can match up with anybody in Class 3A. I mean, you've got the law firm of Hardiman, and Javon Wilkerson, and then we're leaving out the guy Bickler, which Jason and I, having covered the Golden Aces football the last 5 years, we got to see this Bickler kid, and he just can run like there's no tomorrow. So they've got the studs that can, on offense, present some problems.
It really can, and I think Hardiman continues to improve at quarterback too, because I thought he threw it better against us than he has all year, and that just adds a whole nother element to the deal if he's able to do that. So they definitely have some great players over there, and again, I thought they schemed us up really well, and so I'm proud of our defense for only giving up 6 points to that football team. But again, we believe in our defense a lot, and we want to get off the field sooner than what we were able to.
All right, Coach, so let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the overall thoughts from Game 5, considering the offense, defense, and special teams. But right now, we need to thank some of the underwriters of Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash.
You're listening to Titans Football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash. Tonight's show is brought to you by the following underwriting sponsors: A&B Contracting, Best One Tire, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Cox Family Eye Care, Freudenberg Mini Mart, Jackson Seed Service, Kissel Farms, Marshall Disposal, Pole Concrete Construction, Sandy's Pizza, T. Konya Distributing, United Fidelity Bank, and by Vertical Tile. The Diesel Equipment Technology program at Wabash Valley College will train students to become successful diesel equipment technicians. Students will spend equal time in the lab and classroom while learning theory and operation of diesel equipment. Students will also complete an internship during their 2-year degree program. For more information about the Diesel Equipment Technology program, call WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit www.iecc.edu/WVC.
Thank you for tuning in to 89.1 The Bash for Titans football with head coach Nick Hart. All right, Coach, let's start, first of all, with your thoughts of the offense from Week 5 against Princeton. And I tell you what, we've already talked about it and alluded to it, but I knew as soon as that turnover happened down deep, 99 yards to go, I felt like they can drive the ball and score. One play, 99 yards. Wes Obermeyer takes it all the way down. Of course, it was a beautiful pass. I mean, Isaac Sellers hit him right in stride. That needs to be like the poster for throwing the fly pattern.
Yeah, it was a great ball, great catch, and then run after the catch. And but really, the key to the play is Dylan Stefanich had a great blitz pickup. Because they heated us up, being backed up, and that's why I wanted to take a shot. And Dylan, with a remarkable blitz pickup with the blitz that they ran, was able to keep Isaac clean and be able to deliver the ball. It was a big play for us. I thought our offensive efficiency was pretty good, not as great as it could have been, but pretty good. I think one thing we've got to get that I thought we did well. That's tough. We're used to having the ball. And we really control the tempo of the game. And Princeton, I thought, controlled the tempo of the game in the first half. And I think when we're a volume offense, the more plays we get, the better we're going to do. When we were sitting over there on the offense is sitting over there on the sideline, I thought I was proud of the way they came out and still kind of took care of business, because a lot of tempo teams. And we've had teams in the past, when people take the air out of the ball, we struggle on offense because we can't get out there and get in that rhythm. So I thought our offense handled that very, very well. and to still put up and again, it helps when you have a 99-yard play, but to still put up 460 yards with not being able to get the football back, I think speaks to how well the offense played.
Well, and probably the best thing to speak to what you're talking about here is in that first half, you only possessed it 3 times.
Yep.
2 of those you scored touchdowns and made a 2-point conversion. So you got 15 points out of 3 possessions there in the first half. And the third possession could have kept moving, except for we talked about this earlier, with a penalty, got behind the sticks far enough that you just couldn't overcome it. So offensive efficiency was outstanding. I mean, when you score 2 out of the 3 possessions and could have scored on a third one if not for a penalty mixed in there.
Yeah, and that was like a 2-minute situation too. I think we ended up punting with like 20 seconds left. So, so that doesn't even kind of really goes a drive because it kind of falls into our 2-minute category. So yeah, 2 for 2, and then in the second half, I think we scored every time. And I'm probably forgetting something. I think we punted once and we had the pick down in the red zone. So again, I think we ended up scoring on like 60% of our possessions. So a really, really good night.
All right, so now let's go over to the defensive side of the football. Something that we've talked about here a lot so far on the show has been the fact that Princeton really controlled the tempo of the game. A lot of stats for the defensive guys, but that meant they were out there on the field quite a bit of time too.
Yeah, they were. And we're going to see the same type of thing this week where they're going to try and take the air out of the ball and really shorten the game and keep the offense off the field. So that'll be kind of the rallying cry this week is to get some stops and get off the field. But again, I thought our coaches did a good job of making the it wasn't even an adjustment, but catching the mistakes of the first half and the kids responded well. And once that happened, I thought in the second half, we caused a couple 3-and-outs. We got off the field. We obviously shut them out in the second half. But they really only had the one drive, where we ended up with stopping them right at the goal line and then throwing the 99-yard touchdown pass. But, other than that, it was all, forcing them to punt. So I thought our defense did a great job in the second half.
On the 2 big goal line stands, those were very good for the defense. But probably the biggest key was, and this is overall for the whole team, you got smacked in the mouth. And you've talked about this, and we've wondered, how will this young team, I mean, they've had it pretty good for the first 4 games and controlled what took place on the field. How are they going to handle when they get smacked in the mouth, like you say? They come out and performed well. They've handled it. They took it. They went the 15 rounds. Needed to see how they were going to handle 48 minutes of football.
Yeah, and I thought that's kind of what happened earlier. I thought we blinked a little bit when we got hit, when Princeton, threw the theoretical punch. Thought that we blinked a little bit, especially on the defensive side. I thought that's where we kind of froze up a little bit, and it took away some of our aggression and passion that we have played defense with the entire year. We're not talented enough to go flat or to blink. We got to bring it every single down. And when we do, we got a chance to be a pretty good defense. And it's really a fine line of, when we're playing with passion and we're flying around, we're pretty darn good. When we're not, we're not. And but again, and that was kind of the message at halftime was, you got put on the mat a little bit. How are you going to respond? And again, I thought the energy that our defense played with in the second half, it was like a completely different defense and a completely different team.
All right, so let's go to the third and final phase with the special teams. Of course, obviously, extra point-wise, Chandler McKee continuing to do a fine job. Chandler, I'm not going to say a word because I'm not going to be the jinx for it, but doing a fine job. Keep doing it. And that takes 3 parts. You got to give credit to Isaac Cox. You got to give credit to Neufelder. So you got the snap, the hold, and then the kick. It takes all 3 parts to be perfect, and they really have been over the last few games.
Yeah, they have. Back to since the South Spencer game, they've done remarkable, and it's been a great group. The kickoff team. I thought did a pretty good job. The goal was we're going to give up a little field position to keep it away from Wilkerson.
Yeah, I'm headed there, right?
Yeah.
You kicked the Wilkerson, you know that, right?
Yeah, that was not designed. And one time we did on the pooch. He came up and caught the pooch, and we
can't control that.
No, and we covered it very, very well. We stayed in our lanes. We came down and swarmed it. The one time we did, we thought we could kick it past him on the one that he returned. He was in the middle of the field, and we thought we could get it down the numbers past him for a touchback. And we didn't.
No.
But again, if it wasn't for the hold, the return doesn't happen. So I thought we did cover that pretty well. And then we just decided not to risk it anymore and play keep away. And I thought our coverage team did a good job because we were willing to give him the ball in the 35 and keep it away from him and not let him pop one on us.
But again, I thought when you look at all three phases of the game, they all three had to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Defense had a tougher night, but yet offense did its job efficiently. Special teams really did its job overall throughout the evening as well. So it takes all three phases. You just can't rest your laurels on offense alone.
Absolutely.
So right now, Coach, we need to thank some of the underwriters of Titans football with head coach Nick Hart. And when we come back, we'll take a look around the Pocket Athletic Conference to wrap up Week 5 and get prepared for Week number 6, as you are listening to 89.1 The Bash and Titans football with head coach Nick Hart.
You're listening to Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash, brought to you by these underwriting sponsors: A&T Concrete Supply, Carts Gone Wild, Daylight Farm Supply, Deaconess Women's Hospital, Obstadt Summerfest Incorporated, JL Farm Equipment, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Princeton Auto Park, Shoe Carnival, 10 Barge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, and by Ziliak Enterprises.
Whether you want to be home every night or travel the open road, truck driving is a career that can do that for you. The Commercial Truck Driving Certificate at Wabash Valley College allows individuals to become proficient in the operation of trucks and semi-trailers. This stepping stone allows you to test for the Illinois CDL and DOT certification. For more information, contact Wabash Valley College today at 618-262-8641 or visit iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash. I am Bob Bowser, and joining me is head coach Nick Hart. So, Coach, let's take a look at the Pocket Athletic Conference. First off, if I make sure I get the right week of the scores this time, Boonville defeats Tell City 41-14. So, kind of a tough ball game there for Tell City.
Yeah, and that's, our conference has done really, really well in the non-conference this year. So I was hoping that they could, kind of get it rolling. And I think, too, just kind of looking at scores, that game was kind of close early, and then Boonville was able to pull away late.
And, of course, we've got your Titans defeating the Princeton Tigers 36-6. So right now, the PAC taking on the Big 8 1-1 this week. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. Heritage Hills defeated North Posey 26-15, and that's a tight ball game right there.
It was, and it was 16-15. Heritage Hills at the end of the third quarter. North Posey had a halftime lead, and both teams kind of made big plays on special teams. It was kind of an entertaining back and forth game, and Heritage Hills was able to tack a one on late to make it a 2-score game. And I know we'll talk more about Heritage Hills here, but North Posey played a great game and put up a really good fight.
All right, and of course, Pike Central, hey, they get another victory over Forest Park in conference play. So that was 38-20. Pike Central put some points up on the board.
Yeah, and they're 3-2, and I think I don't know when the last time they've won 3 games is, especially this early in the season to have a winning record after Week 5. So very happy for those guys. Coach Powell's a great guy. And some of his assistants I know are great guys, and just really happy for them that they're off to such a great start.
And the final game, another PAC contest, Southridge defeated South Spencer 38-17.
Again, kind of the MO for South Spencer here. It was really close, at half, and Southridge was able to kind of pull away as the game went on and warm down a little bit.
South Spencer kind of reminds me a little bit of Ole Miss. So on Saturday, Friday nights we have South Spencer. On Saturdays we have Ole Miss, and Ole Miss I've seen them play twice now, and they've had the lead in the first half by big margins over their opponents, whether it was Florida State or Alabama. And then the second half, it's just like the wheels fall off the bus.
Yeah, good analogy. And I think it's a little bit more with South Spencer, especially as it's still kind of hot and humid. Friday was a really humid night. As they're, playing a lot of guys both ways and stuff. That's tough on them right now. But, I think the schedule will soften up for them here in a little bit, and they'll get some momentum going as it gets cooler and they kind of head into the postseason.
All right, so let's take a look real quick here at the standings. Of course, your Titans are on top, 3-0 in conference play, 5-0 overall. Heritage Hills, identical, 3-0 in the conference, 5-0 overall. Southridge is also 3-0 in the conference and 5-0 overall, and all of that's going to change here within the next couple of weeks as you all start playing each other. But Pike Central, well, you mentioned it, they're 2-1 in conference play, 3-2 overall. North Posey is 1-3 in the conference, 2-3 overall. South Spencer is 1-3 in the conference, 1-4 overall. Forest Park and Tell City, they're both 0-3 in conference play and 1-4 overall. So looking ahead to week number 6 here, all conference affair within the Pocket Athletic Conference on Friday, September 23rd. It'll be, of course, the game that we'll talk about here in a little bit, Heritage Hills at Gibson Southern, but North Posey at Forest Park. And I'm going to have to say North Posey, once they get off the bus, get their legs under them, this will be a ball game. They'll get an opportunity to get a win in the conference.
Yeah, and they're coming off a really tough stretch where they played us and then Southridge and then Heritage Hills.
Murderers Row.
Yeah, and that's a tough stretch. So hopefully they came out of that, healthy and good to go here as they kind of enter the stretch run of the season.
A ball game looking forward to seeing on Saturday what it ends up. Pike Central at South Spencer. This could be an interesting ball game right there.
Yeah, it will, and probably a lot of points. Because there's they're both offenses have had good years, and so that I bet that'll be an entertaining ball game and probably high scoring.
All right, and then the final Pocket Athletic Conference affair on Friday night will be Southridge at Tell City. Southridge been putting up a lot of points.
They have, and you can tell that they're just playing really well, and they got Heritage Hills coming up after us. Coach Buning will keep those guys rolling this week and keep them going in the right direction.
All right, Coach. Well, one more segment to go, which means it's time to get the listeners ready for Friday night as your team heads back into Pocket Athletic Conference play. But first, let's thank some of the underwriters of Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash.
You're listening to Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash. Tonight's show is brought to you by the following underwriting sponsors: AgriGold, Consolidated Grain and Barge, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, in memory of Eric and Darwin Kalis, Kiesel Enterprises, Lowry Company, MyTech Systems, Reinbrecht Homes, Rusty Rivas FC Tucker MG Realtors, South Gibson Grain, and by Total Seed Solutions.
Interested in becoming a highly paid manufacturing professional? Industry is desperately seeking skilled technicians, people who can solve problems by using their minds as well as their hands. Those who communicate, work in a team environment, and solve problems using today's technology. At Wabash Valley College, we're making skilled professionals desiring a career, not just a job. What will you be making? To get started in the Advanced Manufacturing Program, contact WVC today at 618-262-8641 or visit iecc.edu/WVC.
Welcome back to Titans football with head coach Nick Hart right here on 89.1 The Bash, or you may be using the free app to access the show on your cell phone. So, Coach, week number 6, your Titans will be back at the friendly confines of Jack Jewell Field, and I don't want Kyle Buss to think that I'm stealing anything from those Chicago Cubs whatsoever, but we're going to say it's the friendly confines of Jack Jewell Field to take on the Patriots of Heritage Hills. And we will have all the action live on 89.1 The Bash with pregame at 6:45 p.m. Heritage Hills will enter this contest with an identical record of 5-0 and 3-0 in conference play. The Sagarin ratings have your Titans as 5th in Class 3A, while Heritage Hills is ranked 28th in Class 3A. So what are you expecting to see from the Patriots on offense?
Well, on offense, you'll see a wide array of things from them. They'll, double tight wishbone. The Heritage Hills, bread and butter, the double tight wishbone. and then everything in between. They'll run some doubles and trips and stuff, and even 5 wide. And that presents some challenges when you're facing a team that is double tight wishbone, and then 5 wide in the gun and throwing it around, and they do some of the zone read stuff out of the gun as well. So that presents a lot of problems because there's a lot to prepare for, and they do a really good job of mixing it up, and they have they're more run oriented, but it's a little bit like watching our team, but just different. They just have so many different guys that can make plays for them out of the backfield, catching footballs, doing those type of things. Offensively, they really do a good job of spreading it around and getting a lot of people involved.
Well, and you mentioned that they're run-oriented. Hopefully they don't decide to suit up Jay Cutler and Ken Dilger anytime soon.
Yeah, that would present some big-time problems. But, no, they do a great job. Their whole program is so well coached. The kids just play football the right way. And, they always, when they play us, and just this year, you can see it. And I know we'll talk about their defense in a second, but their defense is very, very good. And they just play ball control and take the air out of the ball and shorten the game and let their defense win games for them. And their offense is very capable, but I think their scores can be deceiving because there's so few possessions in their games. I think their offense is efficient, and they do a good job of moving the ball, even if they don't score. They move the ball and flip the field and make the other team drive and really shorten the games. And they wait for you to make mistakes, and when you do make mistakes, they capitalize.
All right, so let's now go to the defensive side of the football. What do you expect to see from them to try and slow down the high-powered offense that the Titans possess?
Well, they're a 3-2 or a 3-3 team, whichever way you want to look at it. But 3-man front, extremely disciplined, and they mix up coverages. Cover 3 and cover 2 mainly, but they'll mix in a little man as well. But just extremely disciplined on defense. You're not going to get them out formation. They're not going to make any big critical mistakes that you can capitalize on. They're not going to blow a coverage. They're not going to do anything like that. They're going to make you drive the football and not give up big plays and make you drive it and earn every single yard that you get. And they just, they've done it for so many years. And, I just even remember being a young assistant right. We were playing them in freshman football, and I just, when I was coaching on the sidelines, admired how well their team was coached. And you could hear their kids talking football in the field. So they've done it so well there for so long, and that staff, and Coach Clayton, most of his staff is still there, and they've just done things the right way and so well for so long that it's a program that you can do nothing but respect, and that they're going to bring it on Friday night and make you beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. All
right, so let's go to special teams. Maybe we can find a crack in the armor here a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to wait to hear what you have to tell me, but what do you see in their kicking and punting, return games, etc.?
Kicker's very good. Made a lot of extra points.
Well, that's not a crack.
He made 2 field goals against North Posey, and also kicked the game-winning field goal against Jasper. So anytime they get down the red zone, there's a really good chance they're coming away with points. Whether it be 3 or 7. Punter's really good as well, and in the return game they got some of the guys back that are their playmakers on offense. So like you would expect a well-coached team to do, they're very, very solid on special teams. They gave up a kick return to North Posey for a touchdown, which is something I don't know if I've ever seen it happen to them. So that I'm sure that will be fixed and corrected. And what we want to do is not make any bad plays on special teams, because if you do, they capitalize. They recovered a muff punt, and gave themselves good field position in the North Posey game. So they're just again just really, really solid and well coached in the kicking game.
Well, and as you look at this game, I know we've spent a lot of time talking about Heritage Hills and the fact that time of possession becomes a big factor. But field position is also a big factor. And one thing that you pointed out is that they have a tendency, they may not score on the drive, but they can flip the field on you. And I think when you couple those two things of time of possession and field positioning, those two things can really work against the ball club.
Yeah, it really can, and especially in a game it's going to be a tight ball game. Those things, the hidden yards and those type of things, all come up, and are instrumental in who wins the game and who loses the game. And it's so fun to play teams like Heritage Hills. When they're well coached and they're well. It makes it more fun as a coach and a player is kind of what's going on and everything. And I think that what's so cool about playing them, or what at least I do, is I have a great amount of respect for their program, and hopefully they think we're well coached and everything. And both these teams have had a lot of success lately, but both teams do it so differently. We're up tempo and pushing the pace and in the gun and throwing it around, and they're running the ball and ground control, and so two teams have had a lot of success lately doing it in such different ways. And then they collide, and it's kind of a battle to see who can, what style is going to win out, because, we'd like there to be a lot of possessions and the winner have to score 30 points, and, they'd like there to be short possessions and the winner score 14 points. And so, kind of that back and forth and see who's going to win out in the tempo and stuff. But, I think you talked about flipping the field and stuff, and I think, a big thing to look for on Friday night is teams are going to want 3 and outs on both sides. And I know that's an obvious statement, but, we want it so they can't control the tempo and take time off the clock and shorten the game. So 3 and outs are big on our end, and 3 and outs are big on their end, because, when our tempo kind of gets working and going after that first down, it gets tougher to stop. And if they cause a 3 and out by us, and their offense gets the ball back and can kind of control the tempo again. So, a team, whoever can win some of those 3 and outs, is going to be able to kind of control the tempo and I think get the game going the way they want it to go.
All right, so anything else you want to add to this week's show?
No, it's just going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, playing a great program like them. Both teams are undefeated in the conference, and it's going to go along. Sterling, Southridge is, and there's a lot more games to play in there, but Southridge is still undefeated, so they're going to have a say in the conference outcome. But when both teams are both undefeated this late in the season, it's got that conference championship or playoff type feel, and I know we'll have a lot of fans there, and they'll bring quite a bit as well. So it's just going to be a great atmosphere and a lot of fun on Friday.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because just this past week at Princeton, what an outstanding atmosphere. Even after the 2-hour delay, a lot of Titans fans still there, a lot of Princeton fans still there. It was a great atmosphere, and want to definitely let the fans know thank you. And, hey, let's pack the jewel. Let's get them all out there and make Heritage Hills realize that there's a 12th man playing here on Friday night.
Absolutely. We need all the help we can get on Friday night. And, if you're coming to the game on Friday, I suggest you probably get there early to get a seat.
And it is 7 o'clock start time.
7 o'clock start.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Coach Hart, good luck on Friday. And we'll see you after the game on the post-game show. And best of luck to the players. We would like to thank all of you for joining us here on 89.1 The Bash for Titans football with head coach Nick Hart. And be sure to catch us each week at 6 p.m. on Tuesday night for your look inside the Gibson Southern Titans football team. Before we sign off, though, we would like to thank all of the underwriters of Titans football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash.
This has been Titans Football with head coach Nick Hart on 89.1 The Bash. The show is made possible by our underwriting sponsors, Ziliak Enterprises, Vertical Tile, Total Seed Solutions, Tin Barge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, T-Konya Distributing, United Fidelity Bank, South Gibson Grain, Shoe Carnival, Sandy's Pizza, Rusty Reeves FC Tucker MD Realtors, Reinbrecht Homes, Princeton Auto Park, Pole Concrete Construction, MyTech Systems, Mayflower Gardens and Gifts, Marshall Disposal, Lowry Company, Lewis Plumbing and Heating, Kissel Farms, Kiesel Enterprises, JL Farm Equipment, Jackson Seed Service, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Hubstadt Summerfest Incorporated, Freudenberg Mini Mart, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Deaconess Women's Hospital, Daylight Farm Supply, Cox Family Eye Care, Consolidated Grain and Barge, Carts Gone Wild, Gerald and Trudy Bledsoe, Best One Tire, AgriGold, A&T Concrete Supply, A&B Contracting, and by Wabash Valley College. Join us next week for Titans football with head coach Nick Hart right here on 89.1 The Bash.